We're going to look today at stress in English and specifically focusing on syllable stress, so within words in English. Now, stress patterns can be incredibly difficult to memorize and to actually use correctly. And that really has to do with the origins of the English language. We have Germanic origin, where the words coming into English typically were stressed on the first syllable. We also have words coming from Latin and Greek, which has a different stress pattern, usually with the stress coming either in the middle or towards the end of the word. Add to that the challenge of prefixes and suffixes, which can affect where the stress is placed. So altogether, we have this very challenging problem of identifying stress and being able to accurately place it on those syllables. What's important though is English is a stressed timed language, meaning stress is very important. So we're going to take a look over these next few videos about what is stress, what does it look like, and how can we learn the stress placement in words. So I put these dots here because I find it's very helpful to see the visual aspect of stress. Now, in this example with, let's say, 4 different syllables, each represented by a red circle here. Each of these 4 syllables are equally stressed. And by that, I mean none of them are louder or longer than the other one. And this is what we would call a syllable timed language, where each syllable is given equal time and equal strength. However, English is not a syllable timed language, it's a stress timed language. And what does that mean? Well, instead of giving the same amount of time to each syllable, we actually give one syllable more time, but not only that, we take away time from the other syllables. So, to use an example, if I said this as a syllable timed word, it would sound like da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. None of the syllables are longer or louder than the other. Now, if I wanted to make this a stress-timed word, here's one example of a stress pattern. So what you notice is we give more strength and more time to one syllable, and we reduce or we decrease the strength and the time given to the other ones. So this would sound like da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And I use the word da as a representation instead of using a real word to give you a sense of the rhythm and the actual sound of stress. Here's another stress pattern that we see with 4-syllable words. This one, instead of da, 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 we have da, 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 da. And again, da, 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 da. What happens if we move the stress to the 3rd syllable? Same thing happens. We reduce the other syllables and that 3rd syllable gets louder and longer. This sounds like da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And finally, if we put the stress at the end, it sounds like da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. You hear that it's quite interesting. In between, so with the reduced syllables, you're saying those faster. So there's a bit of a rhythm or a melody to that there. We're going to look at example words that have stress either on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th syllable. There are some rules that can guide us in terms of stress placement, and they have to mostly do with the origin of the word as well as whether they have prefixes and suffixes attached. If stress is not something that exists in your first language, I really want to encourage you to start to think of every single word in English as a pattern of sounds, some being longer, some being shorter, some being louder, some being quieter. That's really how you can start to develop that beautiful, natural sound in English as you speak. So if you learned something today, let me know through a like or comment. There are more videos to come about stress, so subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos.